Hello agents, and welcome back to another Division video. We are back in the Foundry, and today we're going to take a look at boss 3 and how is the easiest way we can defeat the boss with as little trouble as possible. I'm going to do a quick run around of the actual area first of all and mention what kind of roles you need people to be doing and what kind of builds you're going to need. I will release all the builds that we use for this boss after this video as well, so you've got all that information. It's too much to pack all into one video. I've got a funny feeling this one's going to run too long as it is. So what you're going to need for this video is somebody on a hazard protection build. They're going to need at least 90% hazard protection so that they're able to get up to the top during the fight as quickly as possible and not necessarily have to worry about the steam, the electric and the fire. Next, you're going to need a healer. There's a lot of incoming damage in this fight from all places. As you can see, there's multiple floors and it's just one great big circle, so there's lots of adds to contend with and multiple spawn points. It's not as easy as any of the other fights. And then what we use to make the fight really easy, especially the end bit with the boss, is we use somebody on a CC build. Once you've got them 3 builds together, I recommend everybody else running DPS. If I was going to say don't use glass cannon in a fight in this raid, this would be the one. The rest I reckon you can get away with it. But just the fact that you get constant snipers up on the top floor, chungers, adds from all over the place, spraying molten everywhere, this one can be tricky. So until you know your way around, I would probably advise against glass cannon. So first of all, we'll do this floor and we're going to start with the buttons. You have a fire area, which is this one here, and this is where the person will need to press the button when it's time. And if it's fire up top, we'll do that while we're here as well. These are the cogs that you need to look for, the red ones. There's 2 right here, as you can see, and then there's various other ones spread around the first floor, and you'll see them as I go around. You can see one just over there as well. Don't worry if none of this makes any sense. I'll do a full run through once I've talked about the area afterwards. All these doors are spawn points, so that's what you've got to be careful of as well. This is our electric area, and again, just like the fire area, you've got your computer and your button. This one is these electric boxes, so when you're doing the electric, it's these electric boxes you're going to be looking for. Be very careful of these ones. There are some on the very top floor that the person holding the button can't see, and there are some, as you can see, the yellow wires there on the middle floor as well. And these ones are a little bit more sneaky, as you can see, because they're over here as well. So there's a lot more to look out for when it comes to the electric. Last but not least, we've got our pressure area, which is blue. And again, a computer just as before, you'll need someone to stand. And all the pressure valves are on the middle floor. So someone needs to go up the chain and drop down one, and they're all there. So what we'll do, we'll go up the chain and we'll work our way down for everything else. So your person with the hazard protection build is going to come up here. And they're going to start with this computer here. And it'll say run diagnostics. When they run diagnostics on here, one of these lights is going to light up and tell you which one needs to be pressed down below. So if it was electric that was lit up, I would hold the run diagnostics button, and then 3 of these boxes around the area would start to spark. Your DPS people have to run around then and find the 3 that need to spark. Once they've got all 3, somebody down there, one of your DPS again, will press this button, and the boss appears behind them at the door. And that's why it's really useful to have a healer and a CC, because otherwise this person is going to have a real hard time getting away. There's many benefits to a CC, which I'll talk about more in detail in the CC video, but if you CC them with the foam, you can also kill the seeker mines that the bad guy drops, which they foam you up with hardened foam, which you have to look down and you have to shoot, or one of your teammates has to shoot. It's a really big nuisance. And if the boss is far away from you, you won't get done over by the chem launcher that is insanely powerful as well, because the DPS and everyone else can keep good distance. So if it was Steam, the blue one would light up here, and the person would have to press the button, and the cogs below would become available. So we'll take a quick look at them, and that's these ones here. And 3 of these become available, and then same as the previous one, someone has to go to the blue section, and while the person is keeping hold of the diagnostics button up at the top, they'll then be able to press the button when the 3 cogs has been turned. The boss will spawn behind them again. So same, CC the boss so the people can get away, do some DPS and get rid of the boss. If this isn't making much sense yet, do not worry. Like I said, when I do a full commentary of a run, it'll make much more sense. With the fireboxes, so you'll press the firelight will appear up at the top. Your DPS people will run around, and when they turn this cog, you know it's the correct one if flames come out the side. When flames come out the side, all the fire up top will disappear, and then the person up there will be able to press the button, and the person down here will be able to press the button at the same time. And again, the boss comes out, and you repeat that process. After that, we then move on to the next phase of the fight. Just be wary. There is sometimes, for some reason, you can get a 4th segment, and it will be fire all over again. If fire's your 3rd one, you won't get fire. But if fire is your 1st segment or your 2nd segment, you might get a 4th segment of fire. So just keep an eye out to that. And there's a way you can shortcut the fire as well, which I'll talk about later on. Now we've done that, we need to move on to the next section of the fight. And for this, you're going to need 2 people. So your first person is going to be your hazard protection person that's been going up doing the button up top. And they're going to need to go onto the 1st floor for this, and I'll show you their point of view in a minute. They've got some cogs up there, you can see 1 there and 1 there. And essentially what they need to do is they need to line these pac-men up to the dots. So this one's already lined up, but when you go into the fight, this opening here, the mouth, will be on the other side or somewhere else. And as they hold the cog up there, it ticks round like a clock, and you have to tell them to stop. Tell them to stop 1 click before, and when it stops and lands in the right place like that, you'll hear a big clunk noise, and the person up there will know that it's right. There's 3 whole sections that you have to do this on that release the lava. And what you would do is you would basically work your way around. We start over here at the entrance at this one here, because we're depending on later on in the fight where you finish, this is dependent on where the boss will spawn, and that plays into the strategy, which I'll explain a little bit later. So we would do this one, we would then move around, we would leave 1 DPS there. We would then do this one, and as you can see there's more cogs up there. And then we would do the last one here. Now once you've done all of them and you've got them all lined up, the second you start to break the little orange dots, the boss will appear. So when you break this one and you break this one, if you break them at the entrance here, the boss is always going to spawn at the fire door here. So you can already have your CC and your healer ready to go. So the minute the boss comes out, the CC can hit the boss there, and it gives you time to do this next bit. So what's really important at this point is these orange dots are broken in all 3 areas. They don't have to move on to the DPS underneath yet. All they have to do is break the orange dots. Once all 3 sets of orange dots have been broken, the boss will still be CC'd over here, DPS the boss and get rid of the boss. Because you've done it in that way, this boss will only spawn once. If you broke these dots and the boss spawned and you DPS'd him, and then moved around and brought the next dots on the next section, the boss would respawn again at blue. And therefore you get 3 boss spawns, when actually you only ever need to get 1. So it's a great big shortcut, especially when you're against the clock, because the pressure is constantly building. Once you've broke all the dots and you've got rid of the boss, it's time to shoot underneath here in the lava, I guess most teams call it now. Even though it's heated metal, I guess. and you break all 3 of them. Don't forget, at the same time, you're going to have ads spawning as well. Once all them have been broke, and we're very quickly going to have a go up onto that middle floor, and I'll show you from the other person's point of view. These are the cogs that they turn in when you're lining them up. And as you can see, that's that side, and then there's 2 more there, and then there's 2 more again, just there. So again, this is your hazard protection person up here that we use, and the person doing the lining up down here, we actually just use our healer and the DPS to stay around them so that they're able to heal and then call out the cogs at the same time. Once the metal is flowing and you've broke all 3 areas, it's time for your hazard protection person to come back upstairs and read from this screen. Now there'll be a bunch of readings on here, A, B, C and D, and the pressure's either going to be perfect, which will be a blue line in the middle, or it'll be too high or too low. And what this person has to do is communicate down below. Again, we use our healer to our healer and say up or down, basically, so you get all in the middle. Once you've done the 4, you press a button and you get another 4, and you press a button, you get another 4, and you press a button and you get another 4. So we'll go down to the bottom, we'll look at what the healer's doing, and what the healer has to do is move these in whichever direction the pressure needs to go. And as you can see, there's a plus if you want it to go the plus way, or a minus if you want it to go the minus way. So up and down, and they will move. Because I'm not in the proper area, it doesn't look like I can move them right now. But I'll hopefully be able to get a clip of somebody doing this at the same time. I'm going to try and get all perspectives for the run through a little bit later on. While this is happening, the boss then is running around on the top platform and is going to these miniguns. You'll get ads that have rockets coming out as well. So if you kill them, you'll get a rocket, and there's a weak point just on the bottom there. And if you shoot a rocket at it, it will take half of its life. So what's very important is while the person up there is communicating what the person down here needs to do, that the DPS just get on with this. They stay with the healer who's going around here, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, so the healer can, you know, be dropping heals as he's doing this communication. But it's very important that the rest of the team keeps quiet so that this communication can get done as quick as possible, because you are up against a pressure clock. Once that's done, and usually if you've done it in good time, these pressures are finished before you've got to the 3rd segment of this boss. But then what we recommend is everybody goes upstairs to the very top floor. Generally this one is the last one that the boss will be on, so you do all the DPS you possibly can, and you can save yourself a lot of hassle having to deal with the seeker mines that come from the boss, or the gas and all that kind of stuff. If once you've finished the DPS on this, the CC person binds the boss at the top, and because you're higher up, it's really easy to damage them, and the CC person can keep them up there right until the end, until the death of the boss. If you can't quite hit them, people can use obviously down here to get a better side shot on them as well. It just makes it really, really easy. The only thing you really have to worry about at this point is the boss's backpack. If the boss's backpack comes up, it consistently heals the boss, and it's a really strong heal. So what we always recommend, and what I always say to my team, is just be shooting for the headshots, because it's really easy to catch the backpack if you're shooting for the headshots at the same time. You should always be looking for headshots anyway, but as long as you're constantly firing at that area, you might just hit one and notice the backpack's up, and you'll get that yellow dink or see the green light that appears on the back. And you just always want to be firing in that area so that you always combat that. I don't have very much deeps on my hazard protection build, and I use an LMG, and I just consistently fire there to keep it down while all the DPS do all of the real damage. What I would recommend though at this point is that your DPS, I bring one as well, brings decoys, because while you're doing this, and especially if your damage is a little bit slower than some other teams, you're going to get a lot of ads coming all around here, all on the bottom floor. And what it's best to do is just throw some decoys down, time them if you can throughout the team. 2 or 3 decoys should be enough, and throw them down. What I would also recommend is, if the boss is going to jump down, throw the decoy into the lava, because the boss actually takes damage from the lava. It's not very much, but it's definitely worth doing. And that's it. The boss should be dead at that point and you're all good. The boss then drops a key. So it's by then, as the boss has got no armor left, I'm already heading down here to grab the key. And when you grab the key, you need to bring it back up the top. There'll be I think it's about an 18-second cooldown, and you have to press here before the 18 seconds run out. Once I press here, all 3 of the screens will light up, red, yellow and blue. And they all need to be pressed. And when they're pressed, that door is going to open there, and the fight is going to be complete. You'll still have a bunch of ads around, but you can deal with that at that point. And that's it. So I hope that's easy to understand. I will do a full run through now with a video. I'm going to try and show every point of view so you get to see everything. I know I've whittled on for 15 minutes already, so I'm a bit cautious already, but this is the hardest fight in the raid, so rather give you more details than not enough. Alright, so now I'm going to flick onto the footage of the fight. So we are just about to start the fight. This is me at the very top. I'm going over to run the diagnostics. And as you can see, its pressure is the first one. So all that someone needs to do for this is go to the blue area and press the computer on the blue area. You don't actually have to do pressure to start. It just starts the fight. And there's the blue area. You can see where Dane was pressing the button. Be aware it can be any random selection that starts the fight. It will always be pressure. But if you were wondering what it looks like, when I press the run diagnostics button at the top, the person down below will see a symbol like this. It's going to come up now. There it is. And all they have to do is press the diagnostic check button when it becomes available. There it is. And that would start the fight. If you're wondering why I'm pulsing all the time, it's just so that my teammates can see where enemies are, because they're on 3 different levels. It can be pretty tough. So the reason I've gone straight back up and with my hazard protection build that wasn't really doing any damage to me was so that I can get on this button really, really quickly without having to worry about the steam. The reason for that is when we get to fire, and I'll explain that when we get there. So now it's electric, and as you can see there on the wall, next to the left of where it says sectors, you can see an electric box sparking away. There's 3 of them now around the entire area that you need to find. You probably heard a little dink then. That's that one done. There's another one done. And you need to keep hold of the run diagnostics button. Now there is some on the top floor where I am, and there's some on the middle floor as well. So be sure to check them. If you're on the run diagnostics button, you can see 2 of the 3 on the top floor. And you can actually let go of the run diagnostics button and go and press them. You get about a 3 to 4 second window before the run diagnostics runs out. So as we press all 3, you can see where Ritzy was there on the yellow section. When I turn around and try and get a good pause. They pressed the button and the boss came out, and you'll have heard our CC guy form the boss in place. Our healer is focusing on the person that is on the computer, and what I'll do, I'll flip to a clip and I can show you that now happening. So in this clip here, our healer has actually gone up to press the button, which makes it even a little bit easier. You can see the yellow buttons coming alive. So all 3 of the boxes lit up in the middle, which means all 3 electric boxes have been done. And the button becomes available. They press the button. Obviously they drop themselves some heal because the boss has come out right behind them. But as you can see then as well, the boss got formed. And then what is really important at this point now, see where the boss is formed there, that all the DPS is done onto the boss. And the DPS was done really, really quickly. And therefore the boss become immune, and therefore you can just then move on with the rest of the fight. Very, very quickly, I'm going to show you this from another point of view. This is from when we did a blue section. So as you can see now, the boss was coming out after the button was pressed. Our healer is making sure AJ there is healed. Our CC person has binded all the ads and the boss. And it's just really important to get all the DPS you can on the boss until they become immune. And there you go, you see they became immune and the boss just runs away. And as you can see, there was hardly any damage done to the team whatsoever. Even AJ, who was stood right facing the boss because of the CC. The CC is really important. And it's really important to see how that person does that and gets that form on the bad guys as soon as the door opens. I can show you that though from another point of view. So here we are from the point of view of the CC person. He's ready and waiting. Everything gets CC'd at the door. He's actually using opportunistic as well, just to provide the team with some extra damage. But as you can see, really easy. He was ready and waiting. So the CC person just needs to be ready when the button presser is going to press the button. Okay, so now I've shown you that we can press on with the fight and get through to the fire bit, which is the only part of this section that is slightly different. And that will then also make it understandable why I'm going up and getting myself shocked, getting hit by the pressure and getting hit by the fire. Now, all you got to do is make sure you're always pressing this run diagnostics button before these lights show up, because you don't know when you're going to get pressure. And there you go. So now you can see I've got fire, and what you'll hear straight away is the siren. That's because the person's able to press the diagnostics button down below as long as I'm holding the run diagnostics before the fire starts, and essentially gives you a free round. You can see how we lost all of the pressure then, because we were so far ahead. You don't have to use the fire valve to get rid of the pressure. As long as the person is holding the run diagnostics button, the computer is available as soon as that fire starts. And then now we come to our last section. The sniper there on the left is being taken care of by my team. I call that out, that's why I'm using the pulse. Probably the most annoying ad in this fight. And then last but not least, we're going to do pressure. Do be aware, once you finish one of each, if fire isn't your last one, your last round, you can get another fire section. So just be aware of that. It's always worth going back up, and you'll probably see it in a minute. I'll go back up ready anyway, just in case we're going to get fire again. Now, unfortunately, I haven't got any gameplay of anybody turning the pressure valves, but I can just show you them on this clip I've got here. As you can see, when I drop down in a second to the floor below, so on the first floor, if you look very carefully there, on the right hand side, you can see a blue triangle with a yellow handle, and they're the pressure valves, and just 3 of them are needed to be turned around this middle section. So you can see straight back up, even though the pressure is firing out, just to get to that button as quickly as possible. And as long as the next section isn't fire, you can then progress with the next section to the fight.
Immediate purge required.
So it's electric, we're good. There's a sniper there, needs to be careful. And you head down to the floor just below, and what we're going to do, we're going to start working these handles. Now down below, as I showed you before, they've got some cogs that look like Pac-Man, and basically they've got to line them up. And once they're lined up, you hear that clunk when the person tells you to stop. Always stop one section before, because there is a slight delay in the stopping, and that was really quick what we did there. One little tip I can give you when you get to this section is if your person down below isn't ready to tell you to stop, you can do a turn and then just let go of it. As long as it's a quick turn like that, if you hear the clunk noise, you know you've done it. So you can actually start getting ahead of time a little bit just by doing a turn and let go, a turn and let go, a turn and let go, without anybody being able to be downstairs to tell you. Because that way then, once you hear the clunk, you know you've got it right. As you can see there, I did a turn, I did another turn, and I didn't get it, but then my healer down below turned up to tell me to stop anyway. But I essentially made the whole process quicker because I wasn't waiting on the person down below. So I'll flick to the point of view of the person down below so you can see me turning the cogs. So here we are at the person down below. I'm going to play this out. And what you'll see is the cogs in front will start to turn. When the mouths line up with the dots, that's when you've got to stop them. As you can see there, on the right hand side, just beyond the smoke, it lined up and he shot the dot. Don't shoot the dot on this next one. You can save a whole bunch of time. Leave a DPS there. As you can see, we left Dodgy Dane there. And we're going to head round to the next section. You can see it already moving round, where he's going to tell me to stop. Make sure the DPS are following your healer. And you can see that one round as well. And we're going to stop. He broke one, but it's very important you don't break both. We're going to head round to the very last one. There's one. He's broke that one. And then don't break this one. And we'll flip back to my point of view and I'll explain what we're going to do next. Okay, so we're in the situation now. We have lined all 3 sections up with the cogs. We've brought 1 dot on each, but we've not broke both dots on any of them yet. And the very first one we did, which was near fire, we're going to break both dots on that one first. As soon as that's done, the boss is going to appear and going to come out of the fire door, because that's the reason we break it there, because we know if we break it in that section, which is facing the entrance where you come into the fight, he will always spawn at the fire door. When the boss spawns, and this is where you need your team to be together, you know, to make sure they know what they're doing, the rest of the dots need to be broken on all of the other lava pits. We're going to call them lava pits. At that point then, you need to get rid of the boss. But the boss is only going to spawn once because of this. So we're going to hold him in place with CC. We're going to break the rest of the dots. And then everyone's going to put DPS on the boss. We're then free to break all of the sections without having to worry about another boss coming out. Normally what you would do is if you broke both dots on one of the pits, the boss would come out, you would kill the boss and he would go away, and then you would break the dots on another pit, the boss will come out. And this is doing it this way around to save you a whole bunch of time. And you'll see that happening now in this video. So I'm just about finishing the last one. Going right back round to the beginning. So as you saw there on the left, that's the entrance where you come in. So that they're the dots that we break both on first. As the boss comes out, we've got DPS stood on the other 2 sections just to break that last singular dot. And then they're all going to filter around and they're all going to put fire on Williams. As you can see, we're just going to hold them in place. We knew where they were going to come out already. And there you go, Williams is immune, nice and easy. At this point now, you're going to hear my team going all the way back round to the lava pits. And they need to break them all open. And there you go, you heard one being broke open. Just to very quickly show you that from another point of view. Unfortunately, I've not got anything from a DPS breaking the pits open. But as you can see there, my healer came down. You can see Disco there. He's shooting the pit. So there's just like a weak point right in the middle that when you hit it, you'll see your damage numbers pop up. And you just wail away at it until you see the lava start flowing out just like that. Stay away from it. If you're anywhere near it, you will die. And then you've got to do that on all 3 sections. And now we get to move on to the next section. So once all 3 pits are completely broke open, you can hear the last one go in there. You head back up top and this computer screen becomes available. And now you can see the pressures on each section down below. Now I'll show you this from both points of views, but essentially all I've got to communicate now is C pressure needs to be lowered. Once that red bar goes down, I press the button, I can move on to the next section. And in this section we can see that F needs to be made higher, G needs to be made lower, and H needs to be made higher. And you work this through until you've done all 4 sections on the computer screen. During this part of this fight, the boss is coming out onto little turrets around the side, and your DPS need to use rockets that become available from ads, and they need to get rid of him with as much DPS as possible. And as you can see, we completed all 4 sections. You heard a noise and you see a little line appear on the pressure bar, which means that the pressure is now good, and it does build really slowly. And our only thing we have left to do now is to finish off the boss. But just before we move on to that, let me show you that segment from a different point of view. So here we are with my healer down below, and everyone will be following the healer around at this point. And you can see I'm telling him, you know, the letter, and if it needs plus or minus, and he's using his Bullet King, which is using AR and LMG, something with a lot of bullets really quickly, to spin the valves in the direction you need to. So H, and you can see, hit, there you go, and he just spins it the way, either the plus or the minus. And that's it to do the pressure. Always do it from one side like he's doing, because you're going to make it really easy for yourself, because you can either put the pressure up or down just by shooting it at the top or by shooting it at the bottom. It's a really nice tip to make it really easy for yourself. And because all the DPS are staying with him, he can heal them, he can drop heals, he can drop his hive, and get everything as well. That was a rocket person, but we must already have 2 rockets out. As you can see, look, the DPS firing rockets at Williams while he's on the side turrets. And then this is the very last step of the fight, and this is really is the easiest way that we deal with it. So as you can see, he came up, the healer came up top. Everybody needs to come up top at this point. Get your whole team up. The healer can put the hive down, and everybody then can just go mental on the boss. And you don't have to worry about ads too much. You don't have to worry about being CC'd from the boss. You do have to worry about his gas a little bit. He will hit you every now and again. But I'll show you the other tips now to make that easier. Okay, so here we are at the very last segment. We're just about to finish P. As you can see, all of our DPS, our healer and our CC will be on the way upstairs, if not already upstairs by now. And while I'm waiting for the last segment of the boss, just killing any ads that you can get rid of, the more the better. But this was slightly different to the healer clip that I showed you. We'd finished the pressure before we'd done all 3 segments of Williams. So as you can see now, we're just finishing the last segment off. And then when you finish that last segment off at the 3rd time, he becomes vulnerable then for you to be able to finish the fight. So if he was near one of the fire pits down below, you could throw one of your decoys down there. And if he does jump down from the balcony, and the idea is we try and make it so he doesn't jump down from the balcony, so that the foam clusters that he sends out don't become a problem. But you can throw your decoy down into the lava pit if you want to for him. So if he does jump down, he'll go and mess with that, and he'll take some damage from the lava pit as well. So now, as you can see, the CC CC'd him out in the open. We've got our healer up here just healing away at everybody. I'm actually using the True Patriot build to put on some extra debuffs, helping with the ads, while all of your DPS just go as much DPS on the boss as they possibly can. Throwing decoys down to help with the ads at that point. So your DPS should now really be going as mental as they can. So now I'm going to jump down just before the boss dies, so that when he dies I can grab the key. But because I wasn't down quick enough, the key actually spawns on whoever killed him. So the key on this point actually spawned with one of my DPS, and he's going to finish the fight off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the last part from a different point of view, and then you've got all of the information that you need. So this is the view from our CC person. As you can see, he's upstairs with everybody else, and we're just finishing off Williams, I think on the last turret, this one hopefully. And as he comes off the turret, he's CC'd him. Don't have to worry about the cluster mines or anything now. He's throwing a decoy down into the lava just in case Williams does break the CC and get down. But he's going to try his best to keep him up. In this one he got down. But obviously he's running straight to the decoy, which still keeps him nice and in the open. Just waiting for his CC to run out and then does it again. Back on with the opportunistic. And as you can see, I've gone down ready to grab the key. Keep his attention, because you've got to keep him down in the open. And the CC person at this point can just CC any ads to make life a little bit easier, because they won't shoot anything. So I grab the key, and then it's everybody else's job to get on the computers that are dotted around. CC and healer can just do whatever they can at this point to support the rest of the guys. As you can see, the CC guys just healing. Sorry, it's just forming the bad guys, and you can see my other teammates are already on the computers all around. The key goes in the computer on the very top floor, which I will show you that now. And everyone around presses the button and the fight is over. So this clip's from a slightly older fight that we did where we didn't actually use the strategy for everyone going on the top. But it's just so I can show you Williams going down. So much harder when everyone's downstairs because of the gas and ads. As you can see there, down goes Williams.
I told you.
I'm waiting for the key to spawn, there's a little bit of a delay on it. Grab your key. And then you'll start seeing a countdown appear on the screen. There it is. I'm just going to get upstairs. Everyone's spreading out to the buttons on yellow, red and blue. And as soon as you put the key in, they press them buttons. And the fight is over. And that's the end of the guide for this fight.
Whatever it takes.
Oh, this guide was useful. I hope it gave you some good tips to make it easier for you and your team. Essentially, the healer is doing most of the legwork downstairs when it comes to the cogs and when it comes to doing the pressure, and we just keep everybody clustered on them. Make sure one of your DPS is constantly going to the fire button at the start of the fight when you're doing each of the sections, so that if the fire does come up and you've already got hold of the run diagnostic buttons, you can use that shortcut as well. And a CC person who's ready to get the boss as soon as he comes out the door. And obviously when you're doing the cog section, if you do it in the order that I've explained in this video, you know he's going to spawn at the fire, and the CC person can be ready and you can skip that whole section. You don't have to fight the boss 3 times, you only have to fight them once. Going up to the top at the end as well makes it a whole lot easier. Really easy for your healer to heal you. You get a good angle on the boss, and it makes it really easy for the CC person as well. But they're the best tips that I can give you for this fight. It's how we do it when we're helping people out every day over on Twitch, twitch.tv/DJTICKLE, where you can find us doing this most days. So do come and check us out. Check out my links in the description down below for tips on the other boss fight, and I'll have boss 4 coming later this week. All of the builds that we use for this fight will be coming in the next coming days, so do check out the links in the description ready for when they appear. Thanks for watching everybody. Do hit that subscribe button and the bell for notifications that will follow, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching everybody. Goodbye.